Hello everyone, welcome to the Bodhi Academy. I am Ms. Rashmita Gadekar and this is our series of one-shot videos. Today I will be covering the chapter Human Eye and the Colorful World from 10th Science NCERT textbook. So have you ever wondered how you are able to see the beautiful colorful world around us? So the sensory organ that helps us to see the world around us is the human eye. So human eye functions like a camera and the lens system forms an image on the light sensitive screen that is called the retina. So the light enters through a narrow opening called the cornea, and most refraction of the light occurs at the outer surface of the cornea. There is this crystalline lens which makes fine adjustment to focus at different objects, and we are able to see different objects clearly. There is iris, pupil, cornea, crystalline lens, the ciliary muscles which are able to make fine adjustment, which are able to make adjustment of the lens, retina, blind spot. If the image is formed at this blind spot, then you are not able to see, and there is this optic nerve. Behind the cornea is the iris, a dark muscular diaphragm that controls the pupil size, and pupil regulates the amount of light entering the eye. So the eye forms a real and inverted image on the retina. The retina has numerous rod and cone cells which are light sensitive, and the light sensitive generate electrical impulses, signals upon illumination. So signals are transmitted to the brain via the optic nerve, and the brain interprets these signals and allowing us to perceive the object as they are. So the next thing is power of accommodation. So the lens is composed of a fibrous jelly-like material, and the curvature of the lens can be adjusted. So it is modified to some extent by the ciliary muscles which are present, and when the muscles are relaxed, the lens becomes thin and we are able to see the distant objects clearly. And when you are looking at the objects which are very closer to you, the muscles tend to contract and the curvature of the lens increases, and we are able to see the nearby objects clearly. So consequently the focal length of the eye also decreases, and this enables us to see the nearby objects clearly. So the ability of the eye lens to adjust the focal length according to the objects or focus is known as accommodation, and the focal length of the eye lens cannot be decreased below a certain minimum limit. So the minimum distance at which the eye is at which we can see the objects clearly is known as the near point of the eye, or the least distance of distinct vision. And for a young adult human, the least distance of distinct vision is 25 centimeter. The farthest point up to which the human eye is able to see is called the far point of the eye, and it is infinity for the normal eye. Sometimes the crystalline lens which is present of the people who are old tend to become milky or cloudy, and they are not able to see the objects clearly. So this condition is known as cataract, and this can be corrected by doing surgery, which is called the cataract surgery. So there are different defects of the eye. The first defect is called myopia, which is nearsightedness, and the myopic person cannot see the distant object clearly but can see the nearby objects. And the far point, why this happens? Because the far point of the eye is less than the far point of the eye becomes closer and it is less than infinity, so we are not able to see the distant object very clearly. And this happens because the image forms on the just before the retina, not on the retina, and this happens, the causes of myopia are because of the elongation of the eyeball or excessive curvature of the eye lens, and this defect can be corrected using the concave lens because it is the divergent lens and the light rays falls on the retina. So the next defect is the hypermetropia, which is known as farsightedness. It is exact opposite of myopia. So you cannot see nearby objects clearly in this case. So the image is formed after the retina. So this in the near point of the eye is further than 25 centimeter, and because of that you cannot see the nearby objects clearly. You must have seen some people keeping the book away from their eyes to see it clearly. So this is because of the focal length of the eye is too long, or the eyeball becomes too short, and hypermetropia can be corrected using the convex lens because it is the convergent lens and it helps the image to form just on the retina. Next defect is presbyopia, which is caused by aging, which is due to the weakening of the ciliary muscles and the reduced flexibility of the eye lens. So in old age people, they are not able to read the book clearly, or they are not able to see the objects clearly because of the weakening of the ciliary muscles due to their old age. And some individuals may have both hypermetropia and myopia, and this defect, presbyopia, can be corrected using a special type of bifocal lens in which the upper part is the concave lens and the lower part is the convex lens, and refractive defects can be corrected using contact lenses or even the surgery procedures. So the next part is the refraction of light through the prism. So as you can see in this diagram, the PE is the incident ray which falls on this prism. Prism is the triangular form of a mirror or a lens. So PE is the incident ray which falls on this prism, and EF is the refracted ray, as we have seen in previous light chapter how the refraction takes place. So after refraction, the FS ray is the emergent ray. So after undergoing refraction, the light will come out of the prism, and that is the FS ray which comes out of the prism. So angle I is called the incident angle of incidence, because it is the angle formed by the incident ray and the normal ray. Angle R is the refracted ray. Angle E is called the ray of angle of emergence, because it is formed by the emergent ray and the normal. And angle A is called the angle of the prism, because and angle D is called the angle of deviation. So the prism splits the white light into its constituent 7 colors, the 7 colors of the rainbow in the order Vibgyor, that is violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. And this band of colors that we see is called spectrum, and each color in the spectrum is distinct even if we are not able to see it very clearly. And the splitting of white light into its constituent colors is called dispersion of light, and white light disperses into 7 colors when it passes through a prism. So we are able to see the distinct distinct colors of the white light. So different colors are bent by different angles. So red bends the least, whereas violet bends the most. So because each color bends differently, emergent rays spread out into its constituent colors, because red will bend the least and violet will bend the most. So depending on the angle, we will see the spectrum. So this thing was observed by Isaac Newton, and he tried using similar prism to split the colors further but could not get new colors. So Newton also tried using two prisms. So he put one prism and another prism but in opposite direction. So that prism was inverted, and all colors from the first prism passed to the second prism, and we could see the white light. This proved that sunlight is made up of 7 colors, and any light that produces a similar spectrum is called a white light. Why the second prism could not show the 7 colors why it could not show the 7 colors is because the first prism splits the light into colors and the second prism bends those colors back. So because of that, all colors will recombine and it will show the white light. So the next thing is the rainbow, which most of us must have seen. In just after the rain and all, we see the rainbow. So rainbow is the natural form of the spectrum that we see in the sky after a rain shower. So it is formed due to the same procedure, that is the dispersion of light, and the rainbow slowly appears in the direction opposite to the sun, because the sunlight will fall on the tiny droplets which are present in the air, and these tiny droplets will undergo 3 important steps. So first is the refraction. So light will enter the rain droplets and it will undergo reflection. Inside the droplet it will undergo internal reflection, and the light will emerge out of the drop and it will be refracted again. And because of the dispersion, internal reflection, we will see different types of the colors in the rainbow. So next thing is flickering of objects that we see, that are seen through the turbulence of hot air, or when in case of a fire and all. In movies also we see the entry and all. In case of the fire, there is a flickering or wavering effect seen. The air just above the fire becomes hotter, and the hot air is less dense compared to the cool air that is there. And since the physical condition of the refracting medium, that is air, it is not stationary, so we get to see the wavering or the flickering effect. In case of because the hot air tend to fluctuate. This wavering is called the atmospheric refraction. So the refraction of light by Earth's atmosphere is known as atmospheric refraction. So this flickering of object or wavering of light is because of the atmospheric refraction. On a small scale, it is seen in that particular case. Next is the twinkling of stars. So many people tend to observe the stars in the night sky. So we see that the stars tend to twinkle. We also have a poem based on that. So stars appear to twinkle due to the atmospheric refraction of the starlight. So when the starlight enters the Earth's atmosphere, it undergoes continuous refraction because of the particles of air present in the Earth's atmosphere, and the atmosphere has different layers. As we have seen in earlier classes, the atmosphere has different layers, and the different layers of the atmosphere has different refractive indices which keep changing, and because of this, the light bend towards the normal as it moves through the atmosphere, and the apparent position of the star changes slightly, and because of that it becomes slightly higher than the actual position. And this apparent position is not fixed, it is changing continuously, and because of that, and stars are also very, very far from the Earth. The closest star to the Earth is the sun, and all the other stars that we see in the atmosphere, they are very far from the Earth. So because of that, they appear to us as the point-sized object, and even the small changes in the refracted path causes the brightness of the star to vary, and sometimes more light enters our eye and it becomes brighter, and sometimes less light enters our eye and it becomes dark. So because of that, the twinkling effect is seen in case of the starlight. But why do the planets do not twinkle? The planets do not twinkle because as compared to the stars, planets are much closer to the earth. In Mercury, Mars, Venus, they are much closer to the earth as compared to the stars which are there. So because they are closer, planets look like small disk or extended sources of the light, and you cannot you can think of a planet being made up of a small many tiny points of the light, and because of that any tiny point may flicker, but they may not flicker at one point only, so at a time. So because of that, all those tiny flickers cancel each other out and they do not tend to twinkle at night. So the overall light remains the same. The next thing is the advanced sunrise or the delayed sunsets. So we all love to enjoy sunset on the beach, but we see a delayed sunset. So the sun appears to rise 2 minutes earlier and set 2 minutes later than it actually does. This happens also because of the same phenomenon, that is the atmospheric refraction. When the sun is just below the horizon, its light bends as it enters the Earth's atmosphere, and due to this bending we see the sun slightly higher than its real position. So even though sun has not actually crossed the horizon, it appears to have risen. And in case of the sunset, even though the sun actually goes down or goes below the sun, below the horizon, it appears the difference between you can still see it for a short period of time, and the difference between the apparent position of the sun and the actual position of the sun is 2 minutes, and because of that we see the sun for 2 minutes extra even after it is set. So the sun appears flattened at sunrise and sunset because the lower part of the sun's image bends more than the upper part. This is also because of the same atmospheric refraction. So next is the scattering of the light. So when the beam of the light is passed through a solution or the colloidal solution, we see that the light becomes the path of the light becomes illuminated. So this is because of the effect called the Tyndall effect. So we must have seen in the forest or in the case of when there is a small opening in our homes, we see that the light or the path of the light becomes clear. That is due to the particles or the dust particles which are present in the air, which tend to reflect the light which is there, and because of that because of the scattering of the light by the dust or smoke particles, we tend to see the path of the light. So the larger particles scatter the longer wavelength of the light, that is red or yellow, and the very large particles scatter the white light. So air molecules and tiny particles in the atmosphere are smaller as compared to the dust particles, and because of that wavelengths of light of the shorter wavelength is scattered by these small particles of air, and because of this we see that the sky is blue. Okay, when the sunlight passes through the atmosphere, blue light is scattered more as compared to the other components of the light or other colors of the light. If the earth had no atmosphere, then the sky would have appeared black, as we see from the space as well, or even in the case of higher altitudes where there is less atmosphere, we see that this atmosphere tends to appear dark. The next thing is the red, the danger signals or the danger signs or the traffic signals are in red color. Why it is in the red color? Because the red light is scattered least in the case of fog or smog, because it can and therefore it can be seen from far away, and people are made aware of the danger which is present ahead. So because of that, the danger signals are red in color. So I hope you have understood all the important things and why certain things happen. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.